You know, running a business, what I want to talk about is an exit strategy because a lot of you are in have fantastic businesses. They're thriving, right? You're doing well, but the ultimate goal at some point is to have an exit. Every business has to have an exit plan, right? It has to have a start and a finish. The truth is that no matter what happens, right? You could exit that business this year or in 30 years. But at some point you're going to exit that business. None of us live and work forever. And so you're going to have to think about this. A lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs are like, "Oh, well, I'm not ready and I don't want to sell." And yeah, I hear you. Listen, when you're winning games and going to the World Series and going to the fucking Super Bowl, it's not time to hang it up yet, right? Like you're still having fun. But it is time. That's actually a good analogy. If you're a player and you're winning games and you're going to championship level stuff, how wise is it, or how to think about your post career, like what happens next? A lot of guys get caught, right? A lot of guys don't prepare for what's next. So thinking about an exit strategy, and whether you're there now, which some of you are, we've had those discussions. You're planning that, or you're still having too much fun. It's not even on your horizon. You want, this is valuable information, and you want to implement this and start to learn from it and develop that, because having an exit strategy ready, or multiple escape paths, right? Multiple ways out that you could leverage, you could pull, that you've thought through at any given time is incredibly helpful. Because what happens if life happens, right? What happens if Monsi, something happens in her life where she's not able to show up to her business anymore, right? That's a problem. And candidly, you stick around long enough, you see this stuff happen. So I want to talk about it's a very complex world that's multi-layered, that there's so much conversation in here to be had. One is, how do you prepare your business? The number one thing that you want to make sure you have clean is your financials, your accounting, right? That is a hot spot for that. When you think about how a business is valued, it's valued based on a multiple of EBITDA most of the time, right? There's multiple ways to value, but the most traditional way that you're going to value a business is whatever your EBITDA, or earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. And so it's a calculation of earnings, which that is an interesting conversation of itself, where we'll spend some time talking about. And then the other, so that's one very important number that you need to know about your business, and you should know at all times. If I went around the room right now and asked you, what's your EBITDA, what's your trailing 12 months, what's your trailing 90 days, what's your forward-looking projection, and what's your today run rate on EBITDA, could you tell me? If the answer is no, you have work to do in accounting. And it's you want to understand that number, because it's insanely important to your business and your business's performance. The other calculation, which from a valuation standpoint is just as important, is the multiple. Okay, right? My friend Brandon Dawson. You guys know Brandon Dawson? Cardone Capital. It's Cardone's guy. Does that whole thing with them. His EBITDA was like $2 million. His business made $2 million a month in earnings. That's not that much money. Like, he sold his business at a 73x multiple. It's like almost $150 million or whatever it was. That's insane, right? That is not standard, but because of market factors, the quality of his business, he didn't play a big revenue game. He played building a business. It's a fucking brilliant, hard to do, but brilliant. He built a business that someone had to buy. And so, without getting too far into his stuff, he had several competitive businesses that were giants that if they bought his business, would put their business significantly ahead and create an immense amount of value in their strategic business. So he understood the market. He also understood his buyer. And through that, he was able to impact the multiple at which he sold his business. So the first conversation on your business is back to EBITDA. It's earnings. Guys, understand the difference between cash accounting and accrual accounting. Does everyone understand the difference? I'm looking at heads nodding yes or no, and everyone's...
Can you elaborate on them?
No, I don't.
Wonderful. I appreciate the honesty from both Monty and Jake. Cash accounting is money in, money out. And so what I mean by that is if I'm collecting money today that's booked as revenue for this month, the service happened fucking 45 days ago, right? Like I provided the service and sent the invoice 45 days ago. The check came today. So the actual time where the money was earned was in a prior month, but I received the money today. The invoices that I have that came in today, the bills are for prior months. But we're just looking at this from a primal money in, money out. How much cash did I get? How much expense did I pay? It doesn't matter where the attribution of where the revenue is earned, and it doesn't matter where the bill it comes from. You may pay 3 months of bills for the water jug vendor, right? You guys fucking your businesses. I don't know if you have an office or Jake has an office. He probably has where they can go get water from, right? And you got to pay the water guy. Now, for some reason that bill added up and you missed it, or they fucking didn't send it to you, and you got 3 months worth of bills from the water guy. You pay that now. But in today's, when you look at a profit and loss statement, it is money in, money out. Now, here's the thing. Cash is king. You have all these fancy ways of looking at business performance, but how much actual money you get is what matters, because that's what pays the bills, that's what pays payroll, and that's how you get ultimately owner's distributions, profit, and put money in your pocket. But it is a totally inaccurate and ineffective way to measure the performance of your business. Because data matters. Data is huge, right? We need data-informed businesses. And so accrual is the opposite of that. I say, I provide my service for this month of April. The money that is generated from providing that service is in an accrual-based accounting is booked for this month. I didn't receive it yet. I'll receive it when the invoices are paid. Some people will be late. Some will pay fast. It'll come in over the next 30, 60, 90 days. But I earned that money this month. Also, if I have the 90 days worth the water bill, right? The only expense that I'm going to book against this month is for the 30 days of this month. Does that make sense? And so now you're looking at the performance of the business. It doesn't matter that the revenue hasn't come in yet. It doesn't matter that you haven't been paid yet. You booked the revenue on an accrual basis in this month because this is when it was earned, not necessarily when it came in and when it was collected. This is especially true of healthcare, right? When you think of my business, I have patients in rehab today. I bill the insurance company. The insurance company might not pay me some money for 45 days, some money for 6 months, but I still earn that money today. EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization, is based off of accrual accounting. And so it's what you've earned. It's not necessarily the cash you've collected. And so that's one of the reasons why this number is so important. And then think about what they're saying. It's earnings before depreciation, interest, amortization, right? All the stuff, right? And so it's a specific calculation of earnings. It's not just below the line. Let me explain. You guys have the difference between reoccurring expenses and one-time expenses. What's an example of a one-time expense? I don't know.
A gift.
A gift. That's good. A repair. That's outside what's usual and customary, right? Just a consultant fee. You hired someone to come in and do something one time. Your business does not need this ongoing forever, right? Like it's just you hired someone to come in to do fucking whatever it is, compliance or some sort of one-time event. When you look at the earnings on EBITDA, that's called adjusted EBITDA. You add that money back in. And so a lot of people, when they come to the accounting function of, okay, what is my business worth? They think they don't have a lot of EBITDA because they don't have a lot of cash. The truth is that a lot of the cash went back into the business to fund growth. It funded one-time expenses and things of that nature. And they actually frequently have much more EBITDA than they realize that they have for those reasons. Because it's not, most entrepreneurs, we think in cash, right? Because that's how you survive. I got to pay these bills. I got to get this money in. It's cost me $1 million. I better collect one too because I got to make my money, right? And so we think in cash. In this, it's an entirely different world in this accounting of a sophisticated accrual-based accounting where you're going to understand EBITDA.